Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for SAT. We have been solving SAT grammar questions out of this book here, the official SAT study guide. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problems that we are about to solve are the ones that you will find on page number 896. Please turn to it, page 896, and today is our lesson number 45. These are a series of 18 questions, as I always remind you, from 12 through 29. In the series of 18 questions, approximately first 6 are easy, the middle 6 are medium, the last 6 are hard. We did the easy ones, which were on page number 894. Day before yesterday, we did those. Yesterday on page number 895, we dealt with questions that were medium. And today, we are dealing with the last few in the series of 18, which are supposed to be hard. We'll see what we can do. Number 1 is already on the blackboard. Question number 26 is already on the blackboard. Let's take a look at it. It says, alerted by the nervousness and the evasiveness of the witness, the jurors were quick to perceive that his statements were inconsistent to those he made earlier. They were quick to perceive that his statements were inconsistent to those that he had made earlier. Is there anything wrong with this sentence? Well, that's a tricky one, because as I told you before, as we get into the harder questions, they get lower and lower in the list. These are the things that we want to check for. We want to look for subject-verb agreement, which is not a problem here. We want to look for the tenses. The sentence seems to be consistent. It's all in the past tense. There is no issue of singular plural here. And there is no active or passive voice. And there is no parallel constructions here. It's the very last item on the list that we have to look for here, which, as I always told you, whenever we come across this issue of idioms, as I always remind you, idioms are tricky ones. Because they're tricky because those are very difficult to master for a non-native speaker. Idioms are very unique to each language. Idioms are such that they follow no rhythm or rhyme. You either know them or you don't. That's it. There are no rules that you can follow, that you can understand to ascertain whether a given idiom is correct or not. Here, the problem here is with the idiom. Now that you know, see if you can figure it out on your own. Alerted by the nervousness and the evasiveness of the witness, the jurors were quick to perceive that his statements were inconsistent. His statements were inconsistent, not to, but this is inconsistent with. The idiom is, his statements were inconsistent with what he had said earlier. What he had told us earlier. His statements were inconsistent with, not to. That's it. That's the answer. Answer is C. And here the problem is with the idioms. Things are inconsistent with some other things, not to other things. Do you understand? His statements were inconsistent with what he had told us earlier. Number 2, number 27. In many respects, Anna Karenina and Emma Bovary are very similar. But, oh, I left out a part, isn't it? In many respects. In many respects, I left it out on purpose because it's not the juicy bits, it's not the important part, it's not the interesting part. I left it out, but then I realized it's actually underlined, and since it's underlined, I figured I'll put it there just to show you that it is fine the way it is. In many respects, A and B are very similar. Anna and Bovary, in which case I'll end up first name and last name of the two people. It's not. Anyway, you get the idea. In many respects, these two ladies are very similar. These two characters are very similar. But, so far so good. There is nothing wrong. So there is nothing wrong with the sentence the way it is going right now, which means the answer is not A or B. It has to be either C or D, or maybe there is no error. But Bovary has the most spread. But Bovary has, which is fine, of course it will be has, because it's one person. She has the most spread. Do you like it the way I'm always very subtle with things? She has the most spread. Is that correct? Of course not, because we're talking about two people. We're talking about two people, and when we're comparing two people or two objects or two anything, we have to employ what is known as comparative form, not the superlative. We'll talk about that in a second. Because we're talking about only two people, we'll say that even though in many respects these two ladies are very similar, but B has the not most spread, but she has the more spread. That's it. Because we're talking about two things. See, look. I have 2 pens. I'm a proud owner of 2 pens. This one is the most expensive. Is it correct? No, I'm comparing only 2 pens. I'm comparing only 2 objects. If I'm comparing only 2 objects, then this one is the more expensive one, not the most expensive. Now, had I been an owner of 3 pens, out of these 3 pens, you see, that's what happens when you have 3 pens, you get too excited. And that's what I was trying to avert. Now I have 3 pens. This one is the more expensive. No, because there are 3 of them, this one is the most expensive. That's all it is. They're looking for superlative. They're looking for comparative. That's all. This is called comparative form. The most is called superlative. Superlative is to be used when you're comparing more than 2 things, not 2 things. She has the more spread. Among the two is also wrong. Since I started, I have to finish it. I didn't mean to say it, but it just came out that way, so now I have to fix my mistake. We cannot say among the two. When do we use the word among? Among is to be used when we're talking about more than 2 people. Since here we're dealing with 2 people, I shouldn't have said among. Between the 2 of you, he works harder. We don't say between the 2 of you, he works hardest. Between the 2 of you, in other words, we're comparing only 2 things, 2 people. Enough of the talk. Let's go to the next one. So that's what was wrong with number 27. She has more spread. Between sales manager and I existed an easy relationship. That's it. The rest of the stuff that you see there is boring. We're going to leave out the boring bits. It says, between the sales manager and I existed an easy, cooperative working relationship. Neither of us hesitated to discuss problems. Good for them. What is the problem here? Will you go around saying it's between you and I? You're going to say it's between you and me. Leave him out of there. Why do you want to get him involved? It's just between you and me. You're not going to say it's between you and I. That's what the problem is here. Between sales manager and me, you will say between you and him. It's between you and him. You're not going to say it's between you and he. Do you understand? You're not going to say it's between you and they. You will say it's between you and them. That's how you remember it. Them ends in an M. It's between you and him. Him ends in an M. It's between you and me, not you and I. That's all. That's what the problem with this one. Number 28. That's the very last one. Very last one. as an Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Becket assumed an independence that was intolerable to the king, who had long been, makes no difference, who had long been his friend. I want to warn you, this is a tricky one. As the Archbishop of Canterbury, as this guy became an Archbishop of Canterbury, what they're trying to say here is that this Thomas Becket guy, before he became the Archbishop, before that part, there was a nice relationship between the king and this guy. They had long been a friend, they have long been friends. But as he became the Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Becket assumed certain independence. He began to assert his independence, which did not exist before. He was apparently very submissive before. He was very submissive and king like that. But as he became Archbishop, as he became Archbishop of Canterbury, as the Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Becket began to assume an independence that was apparently intolerable to the king, who had long been his friend. How do you fix this sentence? The answer is, one does not fix this sentence. There is nothing wrong with this sentence. It is fine the way it is. It is a beautifully written sentence. The answer is E. The answer is E. There is nothing here to fix. So one more time. As the Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Becket assumed an independence that was intolerable to the king, who had long been his buddy, his pal, his chum, his mate, his amigo. And it all ended when the guy began to assert his independence. That was the end of chapter number 9. That was the end of exam number 9 rather. This book that I showed you in the beginning of the clip has 10 exams. We've been working with these exams for a while now, beginning with exam number 1. That was the end of, we just finished exam number 9. When I say we just finished exam number 9, I mean we just finished doing the problems that I wanted to do out of grammar questions that I wanted to do out of exam number 9. Tomorrow we'll begin our very last exam, exam number 10, and again it will take us 5 days to do that exam, and at the end of day 50, on the 50th day, we will have finished our project. Okay, 5 more to go, 45 down, 5 more to go. I will see you in the last exam tomorrow. Okay, bye now.